start at the top. Nick Saban. We know why we hate Nick Saban here in town. Do we not? I mean, look, it all happened during those 2 years he was with the Miami Dolphins, and it didn't stem from the fact that the Dolphins doctors screwed him by suggesting, this Breeze, he'll never throw another pass again. And Dante Culpepper, even though he was timed in a wheelchair at 9.6 in the 40-yard dash, they said, well, this is your guy, Nick. Imagine the time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show with Mike Lubie. Lubitz, Mr. Smoking Hot, the gambling degenerate's dream. Is, still coming off that. I mean, you should be celebrated this week. That 4-0 was just absolutely spectacular last week. Not an easy week to select those NFL games. I didn't think all of them were so obvious. In fact, none of them were, for that matter, except maybe laying a 9.5 against the Houston Texans with the Baltimore Ravens, which we did willingly and joyfully. And yet you still had to suffer through a 10-10 first half before Lamar Jackson woke everybody up with an expletive-laced Joe Pesci-type speech at halftime saying, don't fuck me, guys. Don't fuck me. And they didn't. They came back and scored the next 24 points, shut out the Texans in the second half, and are on their way now to, I think, thrashing Kansas City as well. Although Kansas City finds a way to hang in games, I don't know that you can just summarily dismiss them as having a possibility. But how many teams win 2 games in a row on the road in the NFL playoffs? Difficult game. They barely got out of that Buffalo game, and I don't see them getting out of this one. I'm surprised the line hasn't moved more favorably in the direction of the Baltimore Ravens. It opened up at 3.5. It seems to be hovering right there at 3.5. I don't know. Are you seeing 4 somewhere, Lubie?
I'm great. Yeah, I actually want to look at it because that's what's weird to me is I figured it would go either way. Either people would get on the Ravens and then open up, or people would do. Look, a lot of people are doing that. You can't go against Mahomes, which is fine. I get that. Then why isn't it come down at all?
It's Mahomes and the officials also. I mean, it seems like they become the New England Patriots with Tom Brady. I mean, once Brady left the Patriots, they weren't getting any of the favorable calls anymore. I mean, that whole concept flew the coop. But it does seem like when you're watching officiating and a game that involves the Kansas City Chiefs, they get an awful lot of breaks.
Yep.
An awful lot of breaks. I mean, they're even talking about because they were victimized by a rule that's been in play for ever in the National Football League. They're talking about changing the rule just because it happened to the Chiefs. I think it was the other way around. If the Bills fumble through the end zone, they say, you know what? Not only will we give the team that fumbled through the end zone that they're going to lose the ball, but they're going to then have to kick off and give the team that got the benefit of the fumble out of the end zone, they're going to have to give them the ball right back again. Because it favors the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, we're trying to get Dave Gurggles Gergely here for you trivia maniacs out there, and we love you people playing the trivia challenge all of these years. And whether you're among the chronics or the regulars that always play, we warmly embrace you. It's very heartening for us to have you people line up here on the Defo Show and this new format. So we're trying our best to connect with Dave Gurggles Gergely. We had him, Lubie. We had him. And we let him off the hook.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we were trying to do this right at the top here because we've had to kind of abbreviate this particular program to accommodate my various medical episodes.
What were you alluding to yesterday? Since we don't get a million people watching here, I haven't had a chance to really talk to you. I thought things were going well. Like, I know it looks better. You feel better. You've been going to the doctors and they've been giving you good feedback. The end of, what was it, Bruno? You sort of alluded to some things that freaked the shit out of me.
Very suspect.
I didn't get a chance to talk to you, and I wasn't going to do it in front of Lenore at fucking Gilbert's. But I haven't had a chance to see you, so this is sort of our time to talk. What's going on? Whatever you're willing to say. Again, I'm not putting you on the spot. But
no, I don't mind. I mean, it is what it is, as they say. They quote the great Dave Wannstedt. It's very difficult to tell. It's a very the thing that I'm afflicted with is an infection in the bone of one of my toes,
which is crazy.
It's called osteomyelitis. If you look it up, it's a very threatening thing. The problem is that if it spreads, it can get in the bloodstream. It can move up and impact other parts of your body. There are people that get it in different areas. Friend of mine, the great Sean Mack, had this in his spine, which is even more dicey than what I'm dealing with. I would say this. I mean, for the most part, it seems like it's under control with these multiple antibiotic treatments that I have to do every day. Of course, intravenously, and I'm now like Marcus Welby. I have to administer this stuff myself. And every time that you go near the valve that you have to use from the PICC line to put the IV substance so it can get into your veins, that they always have this warning like, geez, you make one mistake there, it's a vein that's right near your heart. And, you could, you could literally be looking at an 86 ticket there, where the special is gone. I have to feel like it's working, but I don't know for sure. And it's not the easiest thing to judge because even if you complete all the treatments and everything looks good, they still have to try and make a determination about whether or not that they got it all, and whether it cleaned you to the point where you don't have to worry about it coming back. So we'll see. The last guy I saw was actually my good friend, Dr. Jerry Perlmutter. And he was saying that there were some signs there that didn't necessarily equate out to clean slate. But, it did look favorable. So I'm optimistic, Lubie. I really am. But, it's a little nerve-wracking, the whole thing. Because, you just don't know. I mean, you could go through all of these treatments and they still have to whack that particular digit right off of your toes, and then I'll only be able to count to 19, and that's if it's limited to just that. So very interesting developments all the way around. I should get a little more insight into it today. Turns out, I mean, the medical profession, that there were some very good people there, and then there's a lot of ineptitude, I would have to say. I believe they whiffed on the signs of this. My primary care physician that I saw weeks before any of this developed probably should have been able to read the signs or at least get into some further examination. And other doctors that I saw didn't say anything about what seemed to be an obvious sign that there was some real problem there. Fortunately, one guy pointed it out. And when I got to get a thorough exam in the emergency room that day, they did spot the infection being in the bone or sense that there was something there. And so, I got lucky. Maybe I caught it just in time. So, but we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, the IV treatments are, they seem to be effective. I don't feel any great pain or anything. So we'll see if it works. Now that we managed to connect with Dave, I see him there. He's as handsome as ever. He looks like he just hit a pick 6 at the track, doesn't he? Absolutely amazing. Can you hear us, Gurggles?
He doesn't hear us. I hear him.
You want to just we'll just leave him up the whole time so people
have him talk.
Can he mime the words? Do you have sign language for the trivia challenge? All right, we're trying to figure this out if we can, and we'll have a little trivia challenge action going for you. If not, we can talk about what you wanted to talk about, Lubie, and that is your Miami Heat. No, there were two.
They don't want to talk about it.
I don't mind talking about it. I mean, we got Eric Spoelstra. Since he got the money, man, he can't coach his way out of the proverbial wet paper bag. There was double barrel action last night going. The Panthers were skating against the Arizona Coyotes, who used to be just doormats in the NHL, and you would figure that's as easy a victory as you could get. They actually have a winning record this year, so they're sort of making a little bit of a turnaround. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable. Yeah.
We hear you.
We hear you, Gurgs. You're fine. All right.
You probably do need the headphones then. Did you? Let me type it. That's
yeah. See what's happening. It's good. Now we're talking to a person. I mean, it's like having Helen Keller conducting the trivia challenge here today. If it wasn't this, it would be that. All right, so what do you see? I mean, they got Terry Rozier. That was a big move. Everybody thought that was going to bolster the Heat. The Heat have been the team that couldn't score at a Heidi Fleiss pool party of late. They've been sub 100 points at a time where individuals are getting 60 and 70. The Heat as a team are unable to eclipse 100 points. They've won a couple of these games, but it doesn't look so promising. There you go. Headphones. Can you hear us, Dave?
You can hear us now.
Can you hear me now? Dave Gurggles Gergely.
So no, he can't hear us.
Doesn't look good. No, he's got a blank look on his face there. He looks like
we can see him and we can hear him, but he can't hear us. Like I don't even know what to do with that. Like setting wise, he's not.
He has a look on his face like he just got DQ'd. With Argentine tango.
He's not on the apparatus. The computer should just feed what I don't.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting. All right. You keep working on that, Gurgs. And all right. So What do you see? What do you see, Lubie? What do you see in all of this?
Well, the problem is I'm confused. Look, I understand that maybe
Wait, I can't hear you guys, but
all the offensive firepower known to man, but they
Yeah.
should be better. Look, that's why they went and got Terry Rozier, because he's averaging nearly 23 points a game. And it was his first game, so I don't know what to expect from that game. But like, I think he'll help them. It's just weird that they're struggling so much offensively. Like they haven't, with Hero, with Butler, with Bam, with Robinson, the way he's played. Martin's been playing. They should have plenty of guys to score points. And that's the funny thing, is their defense isn't great, but their offense sucks. Their offense is like bottom.
Horrendous, yeah. I mean, it isn't like they don't have people that would provide offensive firepower. Bam Adebayo had a remarkable game last night, even though he only scored 15 points. So you look at the box score, that's the first thing you check. But he also had 15 boards. I believe he had like 6 blocks, 7 assists. And it was an unprecedented performance by a Heat player to of numbers in 4 different categories in the same game. You got Tyler Hero. We know that he can score. I mean, they get Rozier. He should be able to score. Jimmy Butler's out there on the floor. You would think that these, Heat players would be able to put together $110, $120 a game at the least, and they can't do it. And the fact that they were playing the Memphis Grizzlies, was that Red Klotz I saw on the bench coaching the Grizzlies? They had nothing going. Jean Morant, obviously out for the season after just a brief stint coming back from that suspension. He got injured and will not play again this year. And, a couple of their other players were out of the lineup. And the Heat had a chance to roar back. They were down 14 in the third quarter. They come back. They cut it, I believe, to 3 points at one stage, and then fell completely apart in the end game to a team that's been staggering all season long. So that was another ugly sign. You would have thought on the home wood that they might have been able to overcome all of the problems they had earlier in the ball game, but unable to do it. People were debating, well, how is this going to affect the minutes of the other guys there with Rozier? Right now, it doesn't matter because it seems like they can't throw a beach ball off the Dania Pier and hit the ocean. I mean, couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. I mean, their 3-point shooting was abysmal in that game last night.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's with or without Rozier, they've been the last 4 games. Raptors, after they traded everyone, okay, bad team. Hawks have been abysmal all year. They're trying to trade Trae Young, a close game, but they lost. The Magic, played good for a lot this season, but they're not playing great right now. They've gone back to being the Magic. That should have been a win. You lose by nearly 20 points, 3 in a row. Then last night, a Grizzlies team that Jaws came back and then left. You don't have Dillon Brooks. They're a shell of what they were last year. 4 straight games versus bad teams that were supposed to set you up for the next game.
Oh,
is tonight. We hear you. You don't hear us.
Yeah.
Which is the Celtics.
Give us a thumbs up when you hear us there.
He doesn't hear us.
We'll be good.
So that's literally 4 team games that were supposed to set up tonight. You probably lose, but that's fine because, right, you win 4 in a row. You're sitting around the 5th spot. Cool. Well, now you've lost 4 in a row to bad teams that you should have annihilated, and you put yourself in a bad spot. I don't know. Look, the problem is it's a long NBA season, so we see this with teams, right? Like they go through ebbs and flows. It's I trust Spoelstra to figure it out. I just don't understand the offensive issues. That's the thing that is confusing me.
See what happens. I mean, you have them making it all the way back to the NBA Finals. You're a true believer in the Miami Heat and Heat culture, which they were wearing the Heat culture shirts yesterday. But this was one of those cultures that even Louis Pasteur wouldn't want to touch. The way things are going so far. Hey, by the way, I mean, another story. Remember last year in the offseason, everybody was talking about how the best acquisition, they got Jalen Ramsey and they got all kinds of star power players in the offseason, the Miami Dolphins. And people were saying, hey, the biggest thing that they did was get Vic Fangio to be their defensive coordinator. And the Dolphins defense, I don't know, how they assess this numerology because towards the end of the year, they were more than vulnerable. They had a bunch of injuries that badly compromised their chances of being representative defensively. But statistically, they finished 10th in the league of the 32 teams under Vic Fangio. I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with what Fangio was doing. At times, you were asking yourself, well, what the hell is the big deal about this guy? Maybe he's lost it. He's too old school, whatever. But and you were screaming, I mean, my kingdom for a blitz. Yeah. He eventually, especially in that first game of the season, they finally timed one up and they sacked Justin Herbert when the game was on the line against the Los Angeles Chargers, who we thought were going to be very good this year. Chargers who just hired Jim Harbaugh to be their head coach and hoping that he does a better job than Brandon Staley. And guess who's being rumored as the next defensive coordinator after Fangio and the Dolphins mutually agreed, Lubie,
Well, they did.
to part ways.
That's the thing here that people don't understand. He wasn't good. Like, yes, when Bradley Chubb was healthy and Phillips were healthy and they were getting pressure, and it's like, oh, this is the system. No, it's not. The secondary never looked good. like you had his system, and that's what we talk about all the time is great coaches tailor the system to the players, right? Fangio doesn't do that. Fangio has a system, and he takes whatever the guys are and fits them in the system. No, they have his system's based on the defensive line getting pressure and playing zone, having really good linebackers who can cover, play the run well, and allowing the secondary to sort of roam and play the zone. That's not at all what they have. Yes, when healthy, they had the good defensive line, and you saw that, and that's when his defense looked like it was playing better. They have shit linebackers, so they're not good at coverage. They're horrible against the run. David Long Jr. was okay, but everyone else was horrendous. And the secondary is man. Like it's you pay two big time corners to play press man coverage, and you have them playing zone. Ramsey's not, and he played fine actually, but his play is you waste him playing him in zone. Xavier Howard doesn't know how to play zone. Xavier Howard, and he was actually healthy. I think the zone fucked him because I don't want Xavier Howard anymore. He doesn't stay on the field with injuries, and that scheme didn't work for him. So the funny thing is, the minute you lost those the two guys, yes, the defense shouldn't have been the same, but it shouldn't have fallen off a fucking cliff. The defense sucked. Yes, I get it. They didn't allow a lot of points, but everyone was moving up and down the field. They weren't allowing the offense to get the ball. They weren't like, I just think his system didn't work for this talent, and they're not overhauling the whole defense. So like,
yeah, it was tantamount to one of the biggest failures. I mean, considering the fanfare that came along with Vic Fangio, and wow, we got him. 17 teams were looking to hire him as defensive coordinator, and we got him here with Mike McDaniel running the offense and Fangio running the defense. This team will be invincible.
Yep.
And that turned out to be anything but the case. And you're right. You would have thought that Howard and Ramsey would be like Mike Haynes and Lester Hayes back in the day.
Yeah,
To be standing on the line of scrimmage right in the face where the receiver could smell their breath, knowing that they were going to get tagged. Now, I know the rules have been compromised in terms of what you can do as a defensive back, although you see some of the strangest things. How arbitrary is the pass interference call, Lubie? It's insane. The way it's always been that way, the way it's been enforced. And I don't know why they don't allow instant replay. And at least, in the NBA, you can challenge a foul. I think it's time that there was at least one challenge allowed, and maybe more if you get it right, to go ahead and challenge these pass interference calls either way, because you see so many atrocities and inequities and inconsistencies in the way that rule is enforced. You'll see a guy grabbing a guy all the way down the field, nothing.
Yep.
And then you see a guy that barely blows on the opposition's uniform, and here come the flags flying in from every direction. Makes it look like the old joke. There were more flags thrown there than flying there than in the United Nations. But Fangio turned out, tantamount to a huge failure. Brandon Staley among those rumored to be possibilities. Now, Brandon Staley is a head coach, a disaster. I don't know. As a defensive coordinator without the responsibility of running the whole team, you're thinking, is that a fortunate acquisition if you can make that one? He won't come in with the same hype that Fangio did.
No, and that's fine.
And that's good because all of that turned out to be just a bunch of nonsense. Because I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with the Dolphins' defense all year long, but that was a strange development. And then Doc Rivers coming to Milwaukee. I guess that's been confirmed now that he's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks' new head coach. And a strange story there. Guy goes 30-13. With Oklahoma City, 30-13, good enough to get you Coach of the Year considerations, at least at the halfway point of the season. 30-13 with the Milwaukee Bucks, not good enough to even sustain this guy's ability to get through his first year as a head coach. But we all know the whole Doc Rivers story. Great guy, very engaging character. I don't know, as an announcer, was there a big drop-off from what Doc Rivers was doing as a color analyst? People really liked the team of Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy with Breen doing the play-by-play. They seemed to have a nice rhythm. It was almost like a basketball version of the old Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought they were a very comfortable listen. You didn't know what Van Gundy was going to say, but Some felt that maybe he was anti-NBA establishment because he would criticize officials and talk about rules that were
He hated the officials.
ridiculous.
He
Yeah.
hated the officials.
Well, and most fans do too.
Yes.
Which, I mean, what's wrong with pointing out that, I mean, how many times do you see it where,
They hate it.
yeah, especially with traveling and some of these foul calls and the inconsistencies there. I mean, how could they be above criticism? If you're a color analyst, your job would be to point some of these things out. And I thought Van Gundy did it. I mean, it wasn't like he was, blatantly, offensive with what he was saying, but at least he was looking at things in a somewhat objective fashion.
Yep.
I thought, and he was expressing the opinion that a lot of people watching the game are looking at, going, "Hey, how the fuck is that not a travel?" And maybe he, eliminated the expletive, but at least he would point that out. I mean, he was saying the things that everybody that was watching the game was thinking.
Yep.
So, I mean, I thought that was very effective. Doc Rivers, kind of schmoozes over things. A very nice guy and somebody that, as we said, the likability quotient is extremely high. But what you don't like about him, if you're about to hire him as a head coach, is the number of second-round exits that he's made with teams that look like they were just laden with talent.
Well, and had the better team. That's the thing, because our buddy, the professor who put me onto this, because Rivers had won a title with the Celtics,
Yeah,
was ballyhooed, and Ken was like, he's like, look, he's not a bad coach, but he is what his team is. So yeah, he won a title because his team should have won 2 or 3 titles, so he won 1.
Yeah.
And then every other team that's a second round team, they lose.
And the Clippers, which is
that's not actually true.
Loaded with talent, yeah.
That Clippers team was better than that Hawks team. And they had a lead. Remember, they had a lead in that series. Not the Hawks, I'm sorry, the Rockets.
Yeah.
The one year the Harden won a series. And they lost. They gave up the lead. He did it every year. He would give up series lead. So to me, no, he's actually worse than that. He takes good teams, and he's like the anti-Spoelstra, where he takes teams and finds a way in the finals. He takes teams that really should contend for the finals and loses in the first, second round. Like, remember, the Sixers were up in that series. They were up 3-2 like last year, or they at least made it 3-3 with a great game 6, and Harden played out of his mind. The first time in a long time he played great in the playoffs. You have all the momentum going to a game 7, and they got fucking throttled. and Tatum played like garbage, and you had game 7, and then Tatum annihilated you in the fourth quarter. Embiid and Harden were useless, and you lost. It's like, I feel like a great coach would have found a way to win the game. Maybe they wouldn't have won big. Maybe they wouldn't have won the title. But like, it felt like the games where the coach can make a difference, Doc Rivers does not make a difference.
He did in this sense. I mean, and it's often a criticism of coaches asking and fans screaming, "What is this guy doing in the game? You're up 32 points, and there's 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and you've got Joel Embiid out there, or James Harden, or some key player, Maxey." And he did that any number of times where, subsequently and consequently, the player got injured, being in a game that he should have been sitting on the bench, maybe even already in the locker room. Yep. And you're asking yourself, why, Doc? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you subject yourself to the possibility of one of your key players, somebody that was vitally important to the team, being out there when you could have had any number of scrubs in the ball game and still hung on handily and won the contest? It was mathematically impossible for the other team to make a comeback in that short of a span of time. And those were very valid criticisms, I thought, of Doc Rivers, and very unfortunate that he found himself more than once in a situation where he had a player in the game late in a ball game that was already decided. And the player, either Embiid or one of the other important players with the Sixers especially, ended up getting hurt and having to miss several ball games, or even getting knocked out of a series, or being at the point where they were operating at maybe 50% of their normal capacity because they had to nurse these strange injuries sustained when they shouldn't have been on the court in the first place. That's one of the horrific things that coaches do when they don't realize. You talk about clock management. How about personnel management? And they don't realize that it's going to be problematic if they have certain guys in the game late. And we see this in all sports, where coaches make these kind of fatal mistakes and leave a player out there subject to the physicality of the game and the possibility of injury when there's really no valid reason to do it. And that was another criticism of Doc Rivers that I thought really had its foundation in truth. So he ends up in Milwaukee. We'll see if he can get them out of the second round this year. But I'd love to be going against the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round, just based on Doc Rivers' history alone as a head coach. All right, well, we've got to get out of here. It's unfortunate. Sorry, people, you trivia challenge fans. We will try and do it next week. I don't know what the problem was with Dave Gurggles Gergely. Is he still trying to get on?
I want to do a test with him, so I'll shoot him a text. And when his IT guy's in there, it's funny. The IT guy shows him like the simplest thing because we've never had this issue. That's a weird issue to be able to see him, hear him, and he can hear us. But it's always off of us saying kind of just get the settings right. And he was supposed to write down what the settings are, and I guess he didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the IT guy will come in. It'll take him 3 seconds, and I'll be able to hear him, and he'll be able to hear me.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get that done so that we can play next week because I know we haven't played in a few weeks, and we were trying. I texted people. We were ready.
we were dedicating the whole show to the trivia challenge. The answer, Jim Sarney, is no. We will not be featuring Tara Lipinski. But if you do join us for our Tony Bruno Sports Network radio show that comes up at 10 o'clock, I think you'll really enjoy it. Ian Eagle, one of our favorites, going to join us here and help us dissect what's going on in the National Football League. And maybe I'll have some thoughts on the whole Fangio thing. Also, and I don't know if you guys, you boxing fans, will remember this guy, Michael Silk Elijah Day. He was in there with some of the greats. Fought Tommy Hearns towards the end of his career. The Hitman. Actually, they fought as super middleweights at 168 pounds. So Tommy had put on like 20 pounds at that point. But Elijah Day fought very, very frequently when NBC was doing Saturday afternoon fights, CBS. He was always on these sports spectaculars and very, very popular fighter. But where he really, I mean, you talk about the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. That was a line that was always in these Tom Archdeacon boxing stories when he wrote for the Miami News. The Busted Noses and the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I always loved that. It has a nice alliteration to it. And how many boxers, I mean, Lubie, the stories are often so sad that they incur all kinds of problems during their career. And then after the fact, when their careers are over, they don't have a whole lot to go to. Now you have guys, if they ascend to championship caliber levels, they should have enough money put away to last them the rest of their lives. That wasn't always the case, especially back in the 80s when Elijah Day was competing. But he became a fitness guru and trained all of these different stars and celebrities. Nice. So he has great stories to tell. And then he also was the guy that they went to help actors be able to, and he would orchestrate the boxing moves and train various actors. So he was involved in like a zillion films.
Nice.
As well that had any kind of boxing scenes in them. So great celebrity stories to tell and very interesting life post-boxing. And, of course, he was in there mixing it up with some of the really, really good fighters of the times when you had two alphabet soup organizations and only two champions in the 13 different weight classes. So Michael Elijah Day going to be with us. And then we're going to finish it off with a bombshell. And we never know how this is going to go with Brandon Lang handicapping some games for us. He of Two for the Money fame, speaking of movies and associations with our guests. So it should be a lot of fun. That's going to go from 10 to 12 today, the Tony Bruno Sports Network. You can download the app. And Lubie's going to be making his exit from that show on Friday. Is your last show on that thing?
It is. For now. We'll see what happens. Who knows what the future
holds.
What
happens, yeah, down the road. I mean, something good may come of it. Well, we'll see. I know it's been a frustrating run so far with all the technical difficulties we've incurred trying to bring that show together. But we're going out with a bang there. And actually, I think I'm going to take a 2-week hiatus from that thing myself. Mm-hmm. Also, to concentrate more on what I have to do to make sure that this is all about not becoming Tom Dempsey, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't want to be kicking field goals in the NFL and have everybody allude to the fact, well, he's doing that with only 4 toes on his right foot. Exactly. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe making my return to the road shows on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox next week, depending on how things go today.
I hope so.
See what happens and take advantage of that because you guys have been chowing down. Now, did Mayo eat all of those burgers yesterday?
No, that's funny. You guys mock me and it's fine for wanting all the food. My fridge only again, like I've told you in the past, my fridge only takes so much food. And Gilbert's, no matter what we say, healthy, not healthy, brings out 6 to 7 dishes. And then they bring out 3 desserts. And it's like, here, Mayo, take more. He's like, no, I'm eating healthy. I'm like, of course, now you're eating healthy. So I took everything, and my fridge is full. Shirley's yelling at me. So I could use another set of mouth and a set of hands for some of this freaking food.
Yeah, well, it's kind of fun to go to these places, and the food's fantastic. Always great. Yeah,
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, yes. Mayo did actually very well. He was on his game. We didn't get any pictures, so I guess he ate well later. He's really trying to take this seriously, which I give him credit.
He needs to, yeah.
But today we're at Delaware, so we'll see. We'll see when he does it.
He has gone to the breaking point, I believe. If he was going to continue in that direction without taking at least an attempt to try and turn it around, it was not going to be favorable, man. Because there are a lot of complications that come along with excess fat.
Yes,
as
yes.
everybody knows. So and it's not easy as you get older. It's tougher and tougher to lose any weight. I mean, I'm eating nothing now, and I'm still the same weight that I was, going back to a couple of weeks ago when I checked into the hospital. So,
Yeah.
and then I eliminated a lot of exercise that I was doing because the prohibitive nature of the kind of injury that I have here. But nonetheless, not easy. I mean, if you get up there a couple of more years and you're still, carrying an extra 50 pounds, tough to get rid of. So we applaud Mike Mayo in his efforts, and we'll see how he does today with at the Delaware Chicken Farm Seafood Market, because they always they put a ton of stuff out there. The people are always looking and saying, "Oh wow, can I get some of that?"
It looks like
they think we've set up a booth, where we're giving samples. Yeah,
it does look like. Oh, okay. Oh, potatoes. Oh, there's some dip.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Keep your hands out of my spinach dip, will you? All right, Louie, thanks. Always a pleasure, my man. It was a little bit of a fiasco this morning with a couple of things that happened during the transmission of these broadcasts. So we'll catch you. Tony Bruno Sports Network coming up at 10 o'clock. And then later on, right here on our video streams with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. You can catch it here on South Florida Live. And also on where it's more commonly watched, the Let's Eat South Florida.
Yes.
Facebook page, which I can't believe how exponentially that thing grows like every day.
It's like a grand a week now.
It's amazing, huh?
To 1,500 a week, which is
what other site has that kind of momentum going? My God,
I don't know.
The growth of that thing is incredible. All right, it's only a matter of time before they realize what are these guys doing on here. No, Mayo's the man. All right, we'll see you later on today. Tune in. Should be a lot of fun. Iron Eagle's always a blast, Brandon Lang, and I think you'll enjoy your conversation. We love interesting people.
Yeah.
And good conversations. So Michael Elijah Day, named from the boxing past, but very much prominent in everything that's going on in the universe of entertainment, will be joining us. All of those people joining us on the show beginning at 10 o'clock. See you next time. Thanks from Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you on that.
The time
to get on the bag there. And I'm not talking about the heavy bag or the speed bag, Lubie. It's 8:35.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.